What's going on, man?
We're back, Ed.
Nice shirt.
Thank you, man. The Western folks, look at that.
We got hooked up. John Perone hooked us up. Either he or Pat Porcello hooked you up. And,
Nice. I'll take the shirt.
I'm back in my Fox garb. So I came into the hotel last night. I got kind of a little set of uniforms here. I'm still waiting on a couple of you to send me some stuff. But I saw like 4 or 5 Fox guys, and they're in here for collab, and they said, "Are you wearing Fox stuff tomorrow?" And I said, "I saw them this morning."
We're prepped up. We're prepped up.
How you doing?
Good. What have you been up to?
Well, first off, let's start with the chat.
All right.
In the chat, these are really cool. These are Rollins Way quarter zips, right? And these are rare items. They are super cool.
Rare.
They're a great material. Victor doesn't even have one of these.
I do not, actually.
But we are going to give one of these away to everyone who can pick in the chat. All you need to pick is the winner of the NBA and the winner of the NHL championship. That'll be over by the time we get here. So that's all you have to do. If you pick both winners, you're automatically going to win one of these bad boys.
And by the way, if you don't know anything about sports, just let everybody put their picks in and then select 2. Maybe you'll get lucky.
There you go. Well, you got the Knicks, you got the Cavs, you got the Spurs and the Thunder in basketball, and you got the Hurricanes, the Canadians, the Avalanche.
The Avalanche?
He knows nothing about sports.
There's a team called the Avalanche.
Yeah, the Colorado Avalanche. They're actually pretty good.
All right.
I think they have the best record in the NHL this year, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody put that in the chat.
The Avalanche.
And then the Vegas Golden Knights are your choices. You don't even know who any of those hockey teams are, do you?
If
it's not the Blackhawks, you probably only know the Blackhawks.
That sounds so corny. Hey, we represent the Golden Knights. Okay. Anyway.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
What have you been doing?
Let me see. So this month I pretty much have off. May's always like a slow month for me, so I've been enjoying it. I've been doing some woodworking, Ed. So, doing countertops, working on some small cabinet stuff, just kind of trying to, honestly, just trying to get away from the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you sent the book to the publisher, right?
Book to the publisher. So, yes, I have a book coming out with Wiley, my first book to a publisher, Wiley. So,
awesome.
We get to publish I get to do the final edits now, send it back, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have it published. I'll have a update for you as soon as I know.
Amen.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, super cool. Super
Yourself?
Cool. I had the experience of a lifetime. We talked about it earlier today.
Yeah.
Last week, I got the opportunity to represent the 22,000 Rollins employees.
That was amazing.
At the New York City
Stock Exchange.
That
was amazing. Yeah.
This street kid from Youngstown
Yeah.
would have never. And a lot of people said they would have. You had to put it on a bucket list to take it off.
Right.
I'd have never had it. And what an experience! With the whole bunch of brand ambassadors is what they called them.
Yep.
We're all up there on the podium ringing the bell with Jerry and Ken. It was.
That looked cool. That looked great.
I think I shared an email with them, but I'm going to post some. And I've jumped into LinkedIn too, which has been kind of a nightmare. But
why was it?
I signed up in 2008 and never did anything with it. But I made my first post last week, and
I read it. I think it was a great post.
I've made 2 posts so far, so we'll see how I can.
You got more reaction on your post than I get on mine. They care about you. They don't care about me. So
I guess everybody knows me. I guess, but. Yeah. And I think they were just mostly Rollins folks because nobody else knows me outside of here. But no, I'm having a blast with that. And but that stock exchange thing was really cool. And really what it was, I got a chance to participate in a panel, and we talked about you folks. And what I mean by that, when we talked about you, a lot of the questions that I got from the investors. So we did the ringing of the bell the night before, right? And then the next day, we spent about 4 or 5 hours in sessions where Jerry made a presentation. Ken made a big presentation. Stanford Phillips made a presentation about the brands. And then Scott Weaver covered for Pat Chernowski, talking about the Orkin piece. But a lot of it focused on the success that you all are having with ancillary services and the growth that's happening inside the brands. So that's where a lot of the questions came from, particularly to me.
Yeah.
When I was up there, they were asking, "Hey, is this thing gonna scale?" And what you've all done through the first 4.5 months of this year, scaling this out, growing your ancillary is just spectacular. I'll share some numbers in a minute. And really, I think, and like I told the folks on Wall Street, all these investors, the biggest lever in driving ancillary is rack.
Yeah.
Is being able to make these unexpected expenses, affordable to people, so they don't have to bite that big chunk off up front. And that's the key. I know when ancillary's cooking, when rack is going up. And today, I looked at the numbers last night through, I guess, 4.5 months, a little better than 4.5 months. The rack purchases are up over 70% in the brands, and that's
a big jump.
That's one of those key indicators,
right? That's a big jump
that they look for on Wall Street. So no, they're talking about you. And believe it or not, the stock went up like $1.50 yesterday. So I'm going to take credit for that.
Yeah, go ahead, take credit for that.
Yeah, but I'll take credit for that.
Even though they got, let me see who's out there. By the way, let's see who's out there. JJ's looking cool with his little cap on.
Jessica Dennis looks like she's a little bothered. Jessica, can you smile for us? There you go.
Catherine Smith doesn't want to be here. I can tell that already.
Mr. Beard with the Western. He's sporting the Western. There you go.
Jason
Beard
Wiley.
or Baird, I'm
He's
sorry.
already look like his boy's got a plant over his head. Who has a plant?
Who
has a plant over their head? But Jason Wiley. I think it's a plant.
I love somebody's backgrounds.
His wife probably made him put it there. Put the plant there. You'll look more, I don't know, friendly.
I see
it didn't work, brother. It didn't
Jeff,
work.
my old friend from working here. Yeah.
Let me see.
Who else you got
Blake
out there?
Harston, I don't know. He's got some art in the background, trying to pretend he's sophisticated. We know who he is.
There's Jason Martin. Look at how proper Jason Martin looks. He got it all buttoned up, man, with his OPC stuff in the background.
Jeremy, I hate your background. You know
There's Mr. Nelson. Awesome. Yeah, lots of people, man.
Here.
Nice turnout. Nice turnout today.
Victoria,
there's
get in the scene. Come on, Victoria, lean into that camera. Just move over like that. There you go.
A lot of camera shy folks too.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
What should we do? Let's get going.
Let's get going. Let's do it.
So let's talk about some revenue numbers, right, for the month of April, and then we'll do year to date through the first 4 months, which are fairly impressive. Victor, for the month of April, the residential revenues for the brands, $87 million, up 14%.
Hot dog.
Kaboom.
Double digits.
Yeah, double digits. Commercial, $48 million worth of revenue, up 9.6%. Can we round up? We just saw Gary Hubbard. We're rounding up. We're going to take that to double digits. And then the termite revenue, the termite-related revenues for the month of April, $28 million, up 16%. Wow. I mean, just
incredible numbers, man. When you look at
you roll just the month of April together, $163 million. Up 12%.
Wait, you just got to pause on that one.
1 month.
1 month, 163 million.
163 million.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And that's just I guess a reflection of what's going on year to date.
Yeah.
$303 million in residential revenue coming out of the brands is just spectacular, up 14% year over year. Yeah. 14% growth in this economy is just bonkers.
That's what I'm saying. When you think about the economy and then the growth, those numbers are incredible.
$175 million in commercial revenue, up 9.6% again. Yeah. We're going to round up one more time.
Yeah.
Just crazy good. The termite revenue year to date, $103 million, up 15% year over year. 15% increases. And again, I talked about rack kind of being that trigger.
Right.
Our rack purchases are over $7 million. And they're up, like I said earlier, over 70%. Just a great indicator of
nice trends.
Yeah, just nice phenomenal. Trends. I mean, just double digits.
Have you ever noticed a difference, Ed? I'm totally asking you out of the blue question here. Is like the housing market seems a little, now, I don't want to say stalled, but now it's become difficult to sell houses. Do you see? Is there some correlation you've ever seen based on data like that?
I don't have that deep dive into the data. The housing builds really affect Home Team,
right?
Because they do all the new construction, and Northwest has a big chunk of new construction, so they can get impacted when that happens. But those two brands have certainly overcome that in this first year, or this first quarter, I guess, first 4 months. But no, I guess I don't have an answer for that. So there again, Victor asked me a question. I have no idea it's coming, and I have no idea how to answer it. If he would have said that to me earlier, I might have said, maybe I'll do some research. And he's sitting there thinking, well, you should know that. I don't know that. I'm just a knuckle dragon.
I mean, you've only been in this business 40 plus years.
I can tell you how much it costs to get termite work at your house and get some commercial work at your house. But other than that, I can't.
All right.
We'll leave it go.
All right.
Again, we can't really talk a whole lot about profit, but I can just tell you that y'all rang the bell in profit in April, and you are ringing the bell through the first 4 months of this year, and quite frankly, helping the company out by taking
amazing.
the charge.
Yeah.
So just crazy good stuff.
Great numbers.
We have individual numbers as well, as always. So we're going to scroll now. Matt's going to roll the video. You're going to see, and don't be afraid to jump in the chat and call your peers out and give them some shout outs, give them some love, give them some flowers.
High five them.
We're going to pull up and run the residential top performers with the RAC $25,000 K Club. So let's roll that.
Here we go. Yeah.
How about
some good names on there? I think we're starting to get to see some names over and over
Oh,
again.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we are. And little Derby background for our folks from OPC. We had a little Kentucky Derby background in the back.
Nice.
You know, Ben and these guys, they're huge horse fans. And,
Are they?
And we used a similar format last year.
Okay.
So yeah, that's for our OPC team based down there in Louisville. So outstanding. How about these numbers? Louisville. Yeah, I better pronounce that right.
All right.
Nathaniel Shoemaker. $260,000.
Man,
I
killed
met him
that.
at President's Club. He was talking about they had a job where they were like the geese got the bird flu or something somewhere in New Jersey, and they went out in kayaks. It's a true story. They were out in kayaks.
It sounds like you're making this up
No,
already.
but
It's like, he's got some geese, and
they were dying, and they were in this pond, and they went out there they were dead, and they went out there with like fishing nets and picked them up for some crazy amount of money, paddling around in a kayak, picking up a dead goose. I'm learning so much about this business I never knew. I never knew we did that. They're talking about picking up deer. Who else you see from the Truth Tech folks? I mean, crazy. They had like 60 people over 100,000 at Truth Tech.
Nice.
And Jason sent me the list. I said, Jason, I can only put 10 of them up here, but my gosh,
look at
those numbers.
Great numbers.
It's crazy.
Michael Higginbottom. Just wanted to be able to say that one.
You've done that before. Yep. Dustin Pike, he's going to show up as our top rack guy too. But
nice.
I mean, just on down that list. I mean, just crazy.
Great numbers. Iowa.
Going down to Iowa. So David Hopkins.
Okay.
I want to shout him out a little bit.
Okay.
David Hopkins he's been with Iowa for 5 years.
Okay.
Today is his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Today, little birdie told me it was his birthday.
All right.
So you know what I'm always out on the internet. Yeah. I said, what's happening on May 19th? What happens today? I was trying to figure out something to put in the chat.
Yeah.
And this is the day. On this day, David Hopkins, it was when Marilyn Monroe, none of these people will remember this, sang happy birthday to John F. Kennedy.
They remember. Some of these people are smart enough to remember. All right.
Are they as old as us? So David, happy birthday. I mean, just outstanding. 131,000. 5 times. He's been here for 5 years. 5 consecutive presidents. Nice. 5 for 5 on President's Club. Last couple have been Chairman's Club.
Nicely done.
Andy Palmer, always there. Always there.
Isaac Donaldson got some love on the chat here.
Oh, did he? Awesome.
Yeah, Louisville.
Yeah, you guys are doing better shouting out your people.
Yeah.
Doing better shouting out your
people. Let me see, Chris Bruner. How about we go down to Fox? Khalil Hamza.
125.
Man, he's
I think I mentioned earlier, all the region sales managers from Fox are here. I'm actually going to dinner with them tomorrow night. So
okay.
They're going to tell war stories. Yeah. If you got any dirt on these guys, shoot me a little email so I can make fun of them. Sela. D'Anthony Fredericks.
Yep.
A couple guys. Yeah, just
Christopher
crazy.
Shoemaker, Jonathan Carl. Love the list on there. Home team pest defense.
Look at that.
That's some big numbers.
All over the board there. I mean, just crazy.
You're not going to make your statement about it. It is the territory. You always
you really can't compare the numbers because they all sell a little bit different stuff.
Right.
So like 70,000 at one place could be equivalent to 200,000 at another place.
Okay.
Because some of the job prices, it's not as simple as it was at Orkin. Everybody sold the same stuff, the same services.
Okay.
These guys and gals have all different stuff. So it's difficult. So when you look at that list, just know that they're the top. I mean, home team, I think they got a couple hundred salespeople. So I mean, if you're in the top 10 there, man, you're slaying it, right?
Nice.
I mean, you're a star. You're an absolute star.
Okay. Clark. Jeremy Kluge deals together.
Now, when you see that kind of difference,
you
know, when you see one guy at 191 and the next guy at 96, you know something happened big. I don't know.
What is Jeremy on? What did he do?
Do we know what anything?
What did he do?
He's not on anything. Hopefully, he's not on anything. We want to keep him here. But 191,000 is just spectacular. And then coming in and laying up with Northwest, our local brand here.
Some Zoom user said he's a sales guru, a true beast in the industry.
There you go.
I don't know who's referring to. It could be David Hopkins.
There you go.
For the happy birthday. It is. Happy birthday, David.
Outstanding. Okay. Anything else? The rack winners. Oh. Again, you see names on this list. They often end up on this list. Leading the way, as I mentioned earlier, Dustin Pike, rack purchases in the month of April, $83,000. $83,000 of his dollars were there.
Nice.
And then again, you got Khalil, and there's David Hopkins again, the birthday boy, right?
Yep.
Popping in number 3, and then all the way down the list. So just
Tom Pawlowski.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Sela making a nice representation there. We had 4 from True Tech Critter Control, 3 from Fox, 3 from Sela, 2 from Western, 2 from Northwest, 1 from OPC. Just great representation across the board.
True Tech, Jesse Sly.
Again, this is vital to making big dollars in commissions, and very vital to what we talked about on Wall Street.
Yeah.
You know, this expanding this ancillary offerings to take care of these customers and adding these services into where they're not we're just not stacking services. We're just not creating bundles like your cable company or your phone company selling you TV, right, and adding it in, or giving you a free phone that you don't need as a discount. These services are all tied to pest, and that was one of the points we tried to drive home in New York last week with the investors, is that these are services that keep at our core, which is pest control.
Right.
They just deal with these conducive conditions and fix the problem permanently. Or in the folks at TruTech, you get the wildlife up in the attic, you clean it out, you clean it all up, and you sanitize it, and you exclude them out, right? You fix it permanently versus just trapping the raccoon or whatever out. So.
Talk a little bit about the mindset. I know a little bit off topic here, but talk a little about the mindset of RAC. I think that's an important thing to talk about.
Let's jump into the content and let's get after it. But again, just strong performances across the board. Just you folks just continue to bring it, man. I mean,
great numbers.
Just double-digit continued process and just crazy good. But yeah, today what I want to talk about, because based on that conversation that we had in New York, and how much the street was interested. And so when I say we had an investor day, these are the folks that recommend our stock. These are the big banks, the big purchase houses like Bank of America, Citibank. They all had representatives there, and they're kind of, some of them are kind of nerdy. A lot of them are young kids, and you're sitting up.
Describe the room to them like you described it to me. I thought it was interesting how you set that up.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're sitting in there, and there's a stage there, and Jerry and Ken, they get up and they do their thing, and then I had the chance to get up on the panel with Jamie Holyoke, the president of Home Team, Jeff Dunn, the co-president at Northwest, Mitch Smith as well, the president of Sela, and we were all up there together, and we were just kicking around the growth of the brands,
right,
and talking about that. After Stanford did a wonderful job teeing that up, formally. We were part of the Q&A that Ken was asking us questions. So it was really unique how that flowed. But, we were sitting there, and then there were the Orkin brand ambassadors were in the front row on the one side, and then there was a room full of 60 or maybe 80 or 90 investor folks, all with their laptops open and all just hammering away. So, me, when I get up in front of an audience, I'm looking for feedback. There was hardly any, right? I mean, you're talking and they're just typing. They got their head down and they're typing faster.
And they're trying to assess based
Exactly.
on what you say, whether they're going to turn around and recommend
100%.
this stock, this investment to their investees.
100%, 100%.
Okay. That's got to be somewhat intimidating, I would think.
I was nervous as well. I don't get nervous like that. I mean, I get butterflies, but I'm just nervous. And they cautioned us on what we could say, what we shouldn't say.
Right.
Ken did a great job of that. You don't share any numbers, don't share any performance in April, because he said they'll all play fair, but they're trying to find something.
They're trying to get
that
something
can
out
give
of
them an edge. The Bank of America guy wants to get an edge over the Citibank guy.
Right.
So it's just interesting.
Was it interesting how they framed questions out of curiosity?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then between breaks, I had some great conversations. It was and it was an interesting way of going about business. That stuff I don't know anything about, but then they wrote some good results, some good papers on it, and they said that it went well, and like I said, the stock went up $1. So
yeah, it was. Yeah, I know it was based on your comments. Of course.
Yeah, it was all me. It was all me. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, but by the way, Ken, Jerry, Scott, and Stanford. Just, I got goosebumps when Stanford was up there telling a story about Northwest and how they got purchased.
Right.
He told this story to the investor group about how when they got bought by Rollins that they'd left them alone, and we are now positioned as the buyer, the folks people that want to sell their businesses want to come here because of the way we treat these brands. Sela was telling that story. We didn't change them.
Yeah.
We didn't Rollins them. We didn't Orkanize them. And that was a conversation that my wife always had. Well, why don't you just make them Orkin? But they're taking advantage of maybe buying vehicles and uniforms and stuff like that. But they're keeping their own cultures.
Yeah.
And as I've shared before on this, the cultures that exist in these brands are spectacular.
Yeah.
And to be able to share that, and that came across in that setting.
That's a very rare company.
Yeah. Being
Rollins, that can buy a company, right? Not change the culture, because they became successful because of who they are.
Yeah.
So then, the tendency, my experience has been, you buy them, you basically integrate them, acculturate them into your system.
Amen.
And then numbers go down.
Yeah.
Because we've took that essential whatever it is from them.
Yeah, and that investor thing, that you don't need to go watch all four or 5 hours of it. But if you can find the time to watch Stanford's piece, it's out there on Rollins. It's on the Rollins site or whatever. Just pull it up and watch Stanford talk about it. And the thing that really hit me with him, particularly talking to these folks, when they put their company up for sale, certainly they wanted paid.
Sure.
But that wasn't our number one interest.
Yeah.
Our number one interest was how are they going to take care of our people? And are our people going to stick around?
Sure.
And he sat there and he pointed over at Jeff and he said, Jeff's been here for 25 years. And he's still here. And all their senior leadership is still here.
Nice.
Right? So we didn't change any of that, right? And Rollins didn't change any of that. And that's what makes us so attractive to folks wanting to sell that really care about taking care of their people. Sure. And those are the only kind of companies that we really want to buy that have that kind of culture baked in that the people love working.
Maybe you can clip that and maybe send it as part of your newsletter.
I could do that.
Make it easier for people to find.
I'll put a link into that. I'll trim that down for sure. But today, let's talk some business. And based on those conversations, particularly with the residential folks, you are legendary with the pest control sales world, particularly that company I used to work for with Triple Cheeseburgers and about option selling. And the importance of options and why we need to leave with options and get past this hesitancy. But just talk about the science in the buyer's mind of options and serving them up options. Talk a little bit about that.
In my book, Sales Influence, I talk about, how the brain works. And the brain is a fascinating thing. And, my subtitle for my podcast, Sales Influence, calls Finding the Why and How People Buy. Because if you understand how the brain works, you understand how decision-making works, then you can sell more comfortably. And so one of the things I went down the rabbit hole on was options and how the brain thinks about options when they're presented to an individual. So keep in mind this. Your brain is a risk mitigating machine. In other words, it tries to mitigate risk, minimize risk at all costs. Now, we all remember the Goldilocks story, right? Goldilocks goes in to the bear's house and there's a bed, too soft, too hard, just right. There's some porridge, too hot, too cold, just right. In studies done on options, it's very similar. If you give somebody one option, it's very binary, yes or no, right? And if they're afraid, they're going to say no. So what happens when you present two options? So let's say I offered you a single burger and a double burger. What would most people buy? What do you think? The small burger or the bigger burger? What do you think? Put S for small, B for bigger, right? What do you think most people buy? And if you guessed, well, I'll give you a moment to guess. B, bigger burger, small burger, B. If you guessed B, and you're selling to a customer, it's the first time you offer them two burgers, small, big, the majority would buy the small burger to mitigate risk because they don't know you, you're an unknown entity. So about 80% would choose the smaller burger. Now, the question then becomes, how do I get you to buy the bigger burger? Well, if I'm a salesperson, maybe I can sell you the feature, the benefit, the advantage, the gain of buying the bigger burger, right? More meat, more lettuce, tomatoes, whatever it may be. But that's not the way you would get them to buy. That wouldn't move the needle, so to speak. So the way you get people to buy the big one is you create a third option that's even bigger. So you got a single, now you make the bigger one now becomes a double, let's call that a medium now, and you have a triple one. Now, when you're offering three options, the majority of people will buy the one in the middle. Why? Because again, it's the way your brain works. It's a risk mitigating machine. It'll say too small, I might still be hungry. They'll look at the triple, go, oh, I might be too full. Let me go with the safest option, which is the one in the middle. Now, the reason this is powerful is that if you understand what I just said, customers will move towards the middle, then you know that you always want to give the best option, the one you believe is the best solution for them, put that in the middle, and then flank them with a higher option and a lower option, and they'll choose the one in the middle. Ed, your thoughts?
Yeah, and let me just try to pest control it, right?
Pest control.
And put it in their seat. So if you think about it, you show up at a house and maybe it's a termite lead, or maybe you're trying to convert a set of tubes that have been recently installed in the wall, right? Mm-hmm. And you get that termite lead and you get out there and you're called out there to look at termites or ants or whatever it is, rodents. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at that and you're thinking, okay, I know that they need to get this fixed, so I'm going to pitch them this termite service.
Right.
And I think you're better off if you pitch everything, right? Not just stacking, like we talked about at Wall Street, not just stacking offers like we're a phone company, but really getting into the situations that all the conditions that are conducive,
right?
All the things that could happen to that house, you want to put that all in a bundle.
Right.
So maybe instead of just going after that termite work, you talk about mosquito, you talk about a recurring pest control service, you talk about some exclusion work, and you put it all together, right? And you serve it all up. You push that triple offer across the table, and maybe they buy all of it. Maybe they just go to the middle and they buy two instead of one.
Correct.
But I think that's the key here is that we're sometimes hesitant to put all those things in front of them.
Why do you think that is, Ed?
I think it's, first of all, let's do a simple termite lead, right? Or any kind of lead that comes in. They called for one pest, right? They called for one problem, and they want that solution, and you may be in competition. They may be bringing other folks in. They may be bringing other folks in. You're thinking, well, I'll sell that termite job today, and I'll go back in 2 months to chase down the insulation that I know that they need, or to get them on the mosquito service, or to add these other services later, because they don't want to jeopardize that one deal. They don't want to jeopardize that moment because they know they're going to be compared. And we found that our folks that put all the bundles together, they are way more comfortable putting it all out there to create separation, because these folks, we charge a lot of money, right? We're not cheap. We're never going to be the cheapest game in town when we go out on these bids anyway.
Right.
So don't compete on one service. Compete on everything that needs to be done to the house, and make it work that way.
That's key right there.
Yeah.
Compete on multiple services, not just one.
Yeah, and really it's almost we talk about it all the time. The fiduciary responsibility of a home inspector is to go out there and tell them everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
And not sit back on something, but offer a solution to all the problems that you find. Again, not just stacking, services. We're not just selling them more stuff. We're selling them stuff that helps a pest problem, helps control it. Because if you just sell them a termite job and you don't take care of the moisture in the crawl space, are you really going to help them?
Right.
No, you're probably.
I think remember that podcast we did with Nick Keekins?
Yeah.
He said, I don't quote them what I think they can afford. I quote them what I think they need.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the way he framed that, because he wasn't looking into their wallet. Like, could they afford it? Would they go to somebody else? He goes, no, I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell them what they need, and I'm going to bundle everything up. And that's my fiduciary responsibility to do that.
So I think that hesitation comes into bundle to really put a whole package together that the home needs. I think that hesitation comes down to obviously worry about competition, going head to head. But I think sometimes it really comes down to what I found from talking to salespeople all of my life is it's just they're spending with their wallet. Yeah. They're thinking about what they would spend. Well, I would never pay that much for the insulation. And I've told the story many times about, I didn't buy an insulation in the beginning because I thought I was going to do it myself, and I never did, right? Because I was using my wallet. And I think too often times when we get gun shy on presenting the whole package, it's us thinking about, oh, hell, I'd never spend that kind of money for that. And once you get past that, the gate's open. Hopkins isn't afraid to pitch at all, right? He's out there pitching it all. And I had a couple conversations with Dustin, the number one guy at Home Team. And I said, well, how do because they get 3 offers they readily go out and talk about. He said, I never settled for one. I pitch all 3 of them the first time in. I'm going after the mosquito, I'm going after the termite, and I'm going after the recurring pest. Yep. And he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't give them any other options, Yep. But when you do that, as maybe they do want to settle back in for that double cheeseburger. And so you say, I love your line, just push all of them across and give them a red felt pen or something and say, okay, which one of these 3 services that you understand that you need here now do you want me to take out to make it affordable today?
There you go.
And again, that's
very powerful.
I think that's the secret to making big dollars here, to jumping your average job price, because you can only go to so many homes in a day, right? You're limited on time. You can only inspect so many homes. Right. But what if you picked up your job price? At the old company I used to work for, we doubled the average job price. It just exploded. From going from a $2,200 job price to all of those folks are at the $4,500 to $5,000 average job price on sales. You see that over at TruTech. The reason they're driving all those big numbers, their average job price is higher than everybody's.
Interesting.
Yeah, they got some different stuff that they do, but they're packaging all that stuff together. Yep. They're packaging all that stuff together. What else do you have on that?
That's it.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't happen without RAC. And RAC just flat makes this affordable. I'm going to get on my soapbox again.
All right.
If a job is over $501 and you are not pushing through RAC and you are not closing only with RAC, you are cheating yourself out of commissions. RAC gives that customer every way to pay, takes the pressure off the moment, eliminates the stalls and them trying to figure out where they're coming up with it. So please, 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 you're all doing a great job with RAC. But 70%, I think, is just scratching the surface. And I'll continue to beat that drum. When you engage with full option selling, full bundles, and you tie RAC into it, you will potentially double your income. And you may think I'm crazy, but you will. And then any notes in the chat there that we can go bounce back off on?
Jeff Atkins says, RAC gives them a way they can handle the issues.
Yeah, today.
Yeah.
And that's what I even mentioned that in the talk at Wall Street. I said, what we have here with this ancillary service line, as we try to expand this across the brands and get more aggressive with it, like we did over at Orkin. There's still a lot of rope at Orkin. There's still a lot of ramp there, because they asked that question: is this sustainable? Can you grow it?
Yeah.
In my mind, and what I told them, I said, This is not a demand issue. This isn't us waiting for the phone to ring, hoping on weather, hoping that the weather breaks so that the phone starts lighting up because people see ants. This is not a demand issue. This is an execution issue. This is a situation where we have millions of customers across the brands out there that are just waiting for us to come out and give them a whole home inspection. So it's not a demand issue. The demand's already there. These homes have problems.
I love the way you put that.
Yeah, they love that.
It's not a demand. It's an execution issue.
It is. And that's what we're trying to get after.
Yeah.
Just get after it. Execute it. Go out and visit all those customers. And don't be afraid to push that whole bundle out there. You'll be nervous as hell the first time you do it. I remember a long time ago, Stone Tablet days, when I was pounding out proposals, I went out with an old crusty dude. And, at that time, we could only sell pest control, termite, and we sold a little bit of moisture control. And this guy put it all on the table at once. And I've been doing this for like a year, and I thought I was pretty good.
Yeah.
He put it all on the table. I about had a heart attack. He laid all three of them out in front of that customer, and you know what they did? They bought all of them.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes when you pitch these triple cheeseburgers and these options, you'll find that, they may settle and they may mitigate risk.
Sure.
But oftentimes, they're signing on the line that's dotted for all of it.
When they did the studies on 3 options, what they found is 20% will always buy the high side, 20% will go to the low side, but that movable middle, right in the middle, is where most people will settle in. But there's always that 20% high side buyer. And by the way, let me see, there was a comment here by Jonathan Barnhill, so I don't want to pass this one up. Lead with rack and everything becomes affordable. Bam.
Yeah, amen.
Chris says, Urban says, lower concerns of customers. Let us do the job right and ensure you love what we've done, then pay us via rack, which is kind of what you've always been preaching.
Absolutely. And Catherine Smith said, old crusty dude, is she talking about me or is she talking about that guy?
She laughed. Yeah, she's like,
I don't know,
a little self-identification there.
Oh, by the way, Chris Furman, just to get Chris Furman.
Wow, Catherine just went for that one.
Old crusty dude.
Man, I like her already.
Hey, Chris Furman, by the way, the Cavaliers beat the Pistons, so change your pick, brother. My Cavaliers beat those Pistons.
Okay.
In Detroit, by the way. Little housekeeping, get out of here?
Yep, let's do it.
So there's something really cool going on tomorrow.
Really?
Really cool.
Oh, my God.
So
what could it be, Ed?
The Sela team and the Clark teams are coming together to sell a bunch of mosquito. They're going on a mosquito blitz tomorrow.
Sela and who?
Sela and Clark.
Clark.
So Sela, Mitch Smith, Corey Horlacher, all those guys are coming together with the folks out at Clark. Most of these folks will be on the next
Sela and Clark.
Yeah, those two companies are combining forces. They're mixing sales forces. They're sending RSMs into the different markets. They're all going to Clark's turf in California.
Why are they doing this?
They're going to go chase mosquito sales.
Okay.
And I've seen, believe me,
But I mean, what's the goal behind it? Was it
sell more mosquito to our current customers?
But is it to learn from each other or
exactly,
what?
Exactly.
Okay.
So just a little insight into this. Mitch Smith and Corey Horlacher, I know them from their days at Orkin. They executed on mosquito sales in the South Central Division like nobody's business. They blew the roof off it. They know this game. It's bull in the ring. It's practice. Mr. Antonio, how can I help you protect your family and your pets from mosquitoes this year? That's the close. That's the ask. And they're going to teach that. They're going to role play that. Nice. They're going to explode that market. You watch what happens out there tomorrow. I'm so excited. They got a lot of promo stuff going on. It's going to be super cool.
By the way, only because his number is so good, I got to give him the quote here. Khalil, I kill it. El Kanza says options is the only way to reach your full sales potential.
Funny, I think he was on both lists. Yeah. He was on the rack list and the top 10. Absolutely. The rack contest is winding down, folks. I looked at the result. I looked at kind of the standings yesterday. There are some of you that are right on the cusp. I mean, some of these races are really close for those seats to go out to Huntington in September. It ends June 30th, so it's over. So I mean, you got what? Yeah. You got 40 days to make your mark and get after it. And the temperatures are just going crazy. It's like 90 down here. It's miserable down here. It is. Hydrate your techs. Hydrate your techs. That's your safety message for today. And then I'm going to give you a plug. I'll be there tonight. If you follow Victor's doing. He's back to doing these sales after darks. Talk a little bit about that. But he's got one tonight where he just goes live on YouTube. He goes live on LinkedIn. And just talk about what you're going to cover tonight, because the teaser was really good.
Okay, thank you. So during the pandemic, I had this. It was like we all couldn't leave home. I came up with this concept called Sales After Dark, which is an evening broadcast where I just talk about one specific issue. So tonight I'm going to talk about basically the in-home sales flow, as I call it, which is what do you do when you arrive at a residential location and what's the actual steps and process. There's like 9 steps, and if you follow the 9 steps, you'll be a badass. You'll be Khalil. Basically. So hopefully, so anyway, it's streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and if you don't know how to find me, just go to YouTube, type in Sales Influencer Victor Antonio, and then just subscribe to my channel, and you'll get the notification when I go live. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure. And again, it's a little bit of after hours work.
Yep.
That just invested in yourself. So find some time. I think the last one you did went 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think this will be shorter.
Yeah.
I got a little
windy.
I got a little windy.
Speaking of that, we got to get out of here.
All right.
We got too windy. Appreciate what you're doing, man. You're killing it. And Wall Street's watching. So keep after it. Thanks for everything you do.
Take care, guys.